Hello and welcome to the Leading Lounge. I'm your host, Dr. Justin DuBose. Here in the Leading Lounge, we talk with today's leaders and unpack lessons learned and being learned from a career of leading and communicating in their field. These conversations are designed to be both informal and informative, and we want to equip you with wisdom and tools to empower you as a leader where you are and where you want to be. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 54 of the Leading Lounge podcast. This is it. This is a grand finale. This is the last episode of the show. I mentioned to you in episode 53 that we were going to end the show exactly 3 years to the day from the time it began. So it began on this date back in 2022, and we're going to end it on this day in 2025. And I wanted to save this show for the end. I didn't want to have the last episode be a content episode on leadership content. I wanted to be just an encouragement to you. And I really wanted to share with you, those who have been listening, what God has done with this podcast that's far more than I could ever intend. And I'm hoping to do it in a way that encourages you to take faith-filled risks and trust God with things that he puts in your life and ideas that he stirs in your heart, because you may start with one intent, as I did with the Leading Lounge, and it may end up in an entirely different place altogether, far more than you ever imagined. So that's the story I want to communicate with you for this final episode of the show. And to do that, I want to go back to the beginning. I want to go back to when the Leading Lounge started. So back before 2022, when it started, I was finishing up my PhD in organizational leadership. I was just, going through the last stages of my dissertation. I was defending it, and I had this thought of just, man, there's so many good things here that I'm learning, and there's so many great experiences God has given me. I want to figure out how to capture this and package it in a way that helps people where they are, that serves them where they are. So when I started the podcast, my original intent for starting it was I wanted to connect, I wanted to network with some amazing leaders. And there were plenty that I already knew, and there were plenty that I wanted to know. And it was hard to get FaceTime with them, because leaders are busy. And I found that when I said, hey, I've got this podcast on leadership, and I would love to sit down with you and talk with you, that it became the kind of this amazing networking tool. So I really wanted to network with people, and I wanted to hear their stories for my own personal development, but also as a way to connect people with one another, for me to connect with them, but to connect people with one another. And for Communicate to Care, for the nonprofit, I thought, maybe this will be a great way to connect with people, maybe contacts turn into clients, and it can land me some places where I can begin to have some inroads to help serve people. And it did that, and it did so much more than that. Since launching this in faith, which, by the way, not that this is the right way to do it, but I spent a total of $0 to get going with the podcast. I used my laptop I already had. I used a microphone that I already had, and then as things developed, upgrade equipment and get software and those kinds of things. And it's still not anything amazing, but I got started with a prayer and a thought and a loose plan that we'll just call intentions, to meet people and see what happens with it. And I'm really humbled when I think about, over the course of these 54 episodes, who I've been able to sit down with. I've been able to sit down with 35 really amazing leaders from so many different backgrounds. I was looking at the list. There's generals, there's Army general officers, there's international educators, there's special forces commanders, business owners, small business owners, CEOs of large nonprofits and CEOs of other businesses, construction superintendents, university professors and deans, school teachers, private school administrators. I was able to sit down with the vice president of my denomination, of the Christian Missionary Alliance. So I able to sit down with filmmakers. I mean, it's really incredible. And these 35 interviews woven in with leadership content from a really great book is has just been so beneficial to me, and I hope it has to you too, those of you who've been listening. And I've been able, in fact, just earlier today, I took some episodes and I shared them with people, and it's become really this great connecting point that all started with a desire to serve and essentially a prayer that God would help me, you know, get on the right track. So in those last 3 years, I was looking back, and not that these, results that I'm getting ready to read to you are amazing compared to like Joe Rogan or the Kelsey brothers or something like that, but they're humbling for me as someone who invested $0 in marketing, and essentially just kind of took off running. But I was looking earlier this week at number of downloads, how many different people, unique downloads have there been? And to put this in context, before I moved to Houston, Texas, I lived in a small town in North Carolina of less than 5,000 people. So 7,000, we're right at 7,000 unique people have downloaded the podcast, which doesn't sound like a huge number. If you're doing things because of what the numbers show, then you're going to get incredibly discouraged. But if you're doing things because they're the right things to do, and they're a wonderful stewardship and expression of your gifts, then 7,000 different people, more than lived in the town that I moved from. I mean, it's remarkable to me. And what's really remarkable is with no targeted advertising, marketing, anything, just publishing content, every continent on the world, somewhere other than Antarctica, which, because I guess penguins don't listen to podcasts because it's hard for them. But every continent, every other continent in the world that has humans living on it, the Leading Lounge has been downloaded. It's just amazing to me. There's one person in France, whoever you are listening to this, man, France, you were all over it. Somebody was downloading episodes as soon as they came out consistently, right, every time. So God bless you, whoever you are. I'd love to hear from you. But yeah, I'm looking, and the United States, France, Belgium, Ireland, Singapore, Canada, India, the UK, Ukraine, South Korea, Mexico, China, Germany, Russia, South Africa, Hungary, Japan, Brazil, Australia, Venezuela, Uruguay, Poland, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Romania, Spain, Hong Kong, the Philippines, New Zealand, Albania, the Netherlands, and Nepal. How did people find this show? I have no idea, but God blessed it. And the fact that 7,000 people, and that'll grow as the show just stays published. 7,000 different people all over the world somehow found this content and they downloaded it. And I'm just so incredibly humbled, and I'm just so very grateful for that, because again, I just wanted to connect with people and I wanted to hear their stories and I wanted to grow. And God did so much more than I could imagine. I sat down and I was thinking through the connections that I've made. By the way, every client that I've served at Communicate to Care has somehow come through the podcast. It's really incredible. This podcast has opened doors for me to be able to serve people and help them where they are. So I sat down and I look back, since the start of this show, where every one of these connections have come from, I've been so blessed to be able to serve over 300 leaders from 26 different organizations. 115 leaders have taken personalized assessments. They've received some leadership coaching, in their work, some as educators, some as business people, executives, pastors, soldiers. I mean, it's just remarkable. And in the course of this show, I authored a leadership development curriculum. It's called Ministry 4x4, and I've been able to go through and train 72 ministry leaders from 6 different states. I mean, it's just so amazing to me that what started with essentially a wing and a prayer, that God has done this, has enabled me to learn from these people, hear from these people, share their stories and their wisdom with you, connect with people, join them in their service, all because I just said, God, you've given me this, and what do I do with it? So it's really just amazing. And most amazing in this was my heart is in serving ministry leaders and military folks, that's really the heart. Um, but I prayed for some corporate clients just essentially to be able to offer leadership coaching and services and consulting to ministry personnel and military folks. Ultimately, down the road, I would love there to be the real vision for Communicate to Care continues to be helping start a seminary in Honduras with Nelvine and Charisse, who were interviewed on the podcast. They have a school, Vita Academy, and the vision is to come alongside them and help them develop a seminary down the road. But corporate clients who also need leadership coaching provide the financing a lot of times so that you can free up your time and your money to be able to serve those who you really want and who really need it. And so most amazing in this to me is that God connected me with an avenue to serve corporate clients. So through an interview on the podcast with Ryan Clopton, who's a Chick-fil-A operator, I got connected with leadership consultancy, and that turned into now serving as an executive coach with leadership consultancy and being able to serve those clients. And so what I'm so very thankful for and really humbled by is to think that God heard that prayer of wanting to serve over here, but needing to figure out kind of the financial aspect. And in just trusting God through this podcast, God connected me with those corporate clients, and it's just such a source of joy for me. So I'm really looking forward to, in the future, refocusing my efforts here at Communicate to Care on being able to serve ministry leaders, those who are serving God, being able to serve military folks, those that I serve with in uniform, being able to come alongside of them beyond hours, beyond duty hours, and come and help. I was able recently to offer marriage. We did a seminar for married couples in the 101st Airborne, and that was amazing. Like those kinds of things, would really like to be able to do more of, and I'm just so thankful. Give glory to God that He provided over here to continue to be able to do that in a more focused way. So what's next after this podcast wraps up? Well, I'm in the final stages of writing and finishing getting it all together, a book. It's a prayer journal, kind of a devotional journal. And so I'll be putting that on the website, but looking forward to kind of taking a lot of the energy that has been put into this and putting it there. And there's one other book that I've got in the works that's just in a very conceptual stage now, but one day down the road. And again, being able to steward that energy that this podcast has opened doors for to be able to in a more focused way help ministry leaders and military leaders. So here's my final encouragement for you, wonderful, beautiful listener of the Leading Lounge podcast. Take a faith-filled risks. Take those faith-filled risks and just trust God. Just trust God. When I think back to 3 years ago when this whole thing started, it really was a wing and a prayer. And it was, God, I have this desire. I don't know what to do with it. I'm not smart enough to strategize this out. And so in a very open-handed way, just said, here, Lord, this is yours. Whatever you want to do with it, you do with it. So I've had people reach out to me and say, oh man, why are you closing down the podcast? I really enjoy the content. And the answer is because God took what I wanted to do with it and has multiplied it like fish and bread. I said, here's these fish sticks and some sandwiches, and God took it and He multiplied it in a really amazing way and has opened bigger doors and more doors for me than I could ever have imagined when I started this thing. He has done that which was in my heart and then some. And so my encouragement to you is take those steps of faith. God will do so much more than you can ask or think. And if you've gotten any benefit from listening to the Leading Lounge, then glory to God, because He is the one who did it. He's the one who took just my experiences, my education, my desires to serve, and has multiplied it beyond anything I can ask or think. And He'll do the same thing for you. He will do the same thing for you. He makes that promise. So, fellow leader, take those steps of faith. If you think, I don't know how to do this, but it's a desire I have, just trust God. $0 invested into this podcast, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of prayer, and look what God has done. It's amazing. So if that's any encouragement to you as I close this show, I just say, trust God, do it. Give him your heart, give him your desires, because he'll do more than you can ask or think. So if you've participated in the show in any way, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. You're an integral part of my own story. And I just say continue to look into the future. There may be another podcast down the road. I don't know, a different podcast. But I'm looking forward to continuing to serve and doing some writing. And so I'll put all those things on the website. But God bless you. Thank you. You're an important part of my life. I'm glad to be a small part of yours. God be with you as you live a life of faith, continuing to lead others with the spirit of Jesus, not looking to be served, but to serve. And God will honor that, and God will multiply that. And then, like me, one day you'll be 3 years down the road and you'll just go, oh my gosh, I just had these fish and this bread, and look what God did. So trust Him. God bless you in your journey. Thank you for everything. Thank you so much.